What's going on, family? Welcome back to another video. Make sure you are liking, subscribing, and watching for the next video. Today we have an episode. Now, there's a video going out right now by Joe Kent saying that the FBI stopped him from investigating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now, I want to remind you guys, I haven't fully watched the video yet. I watched this stuff with you guys to get a live reaction to see what's really going on. Now, let's get the video up.
What happened in Butler. We don't know what happened with Charlie Kirk. And by no means am I saying the Israelis did this or any of that, but I'm saying there's a lot of unanswered questions there. And there is enough data to at least say that there's a good chance that President Trump feels he is under threat. We're not allowed to ask, basically, was there any linkage between what took place with Asif Merchant, who was recruited by the Iranians to come to America to recruit proxies to kill President Trump. The FBI put a confidential human source at him. All this is public now. This is all out there in the open. And he's arrested, and then 2 days later, a sniper takes a shot at President Trump. We think Merchant and we know the CHS was talking about the human source that the FBI put at Merchant. They were talking about, hey, we could kill the president potentially with a sniper rifle. But then they arrest him. 2 days later, Butler happens. And Crooks, according to the official narrative anyways, is an enigma. We don't know anything about him. We can't get into his devices. If we did get into his devices, maybe there's nothing there. No more questions are allowed to be asked about Thomas Crooks. And then, Charlie Kirk is killed publicly in a very horrific way. And we're not really even allowed to look into that at all. And Charlie Kirk was one of President Trump's closest advisors, and he also advocated heavily against a war with Iran. He was in the Oval Office in the lead up to the 12-day war. I wasn't particularly close with Charlie. He was very gracious to me when I was running for Congress, very, very supportive. So we knew each other. And the last time I saw Charlie Kirk,
what do you mean?
No more questions are allowed to be asked about Thomas Crooks. And then,
apologize, guys. Apologies.
Charlie Kirk is killed publicly in a very horrific way, and we're not really even allowed to look into that at all. And Charlie Kirk was one of President Trump's closest advisors, and he also advocated heavily against a war with Iran. He was in the Oval Office in the lead up to the 12-day war. I wasn't particularly close with Charlie. He was very gracious to me when I was running for Congress, very, very supportive. So we knew each other. And the last time I saw Charlie Kirk on this earth was in June in the West Wing in the stairway, and I said hi to him, and he looked me in the eye, and he said very loudly, and it's a small. You've been in the West Wing. It's small. It's a tight space, and he said, "Joe, stop us from getting into a war with Iran." Very loudly.
Wow, stop us from getting into a war with Iran. That's what Charlie said.
Single-minded.
And he walked off, and he went, I believe, into the Oval. So when one of President Trump's closest advisors, who is vocally advocating for us to not go to war with Iran and for us to rethink at least our relationship with the Israelis, and then he's suddenly publicly assassinated, and we're not allowed to ask any questions about that. It's a data point. It's a data point that we need to look into.
What do you mean when you say we're not allowed to ask any questions about that?
We've been told that this individual, Robinson, is a lone gunman, and maybe he is. But the investigation that I was a part of, the National Counterterrorism Center was a part of, we were stopped from continuing to investigate. And the FBI will say that they stopped that because they wanted to turn everything over to the Utah state authorities. Everything's going to trial. It's very, very sensitive. But there was still a lot for us to look into that I can't really get into. But there was still linkage for us to investigate that we needed to run down. And I'm not making any conclusions. I'm not saying
no, I don't think you are.
Because of this happened. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying there's unanswered questions. We know the pressure because of the text messages that have been made public that Charlie was under a lot of pressure from a lot of pro-Israel donors. And again, we know Charlie was advocating to President Trump against this war with Iran. And we knew at the end of the 12-day war, at the end of Midnight Hammer, that the Israelis were going to come back and ask us to go back to war again.
Right.
So we have a lot of data points between Butler, the assassination attempts against President Trump, the breaches of his security, what happened to Charlie Kirk.
Can I just ask you to pause on the Charlie Kirk because it upsets me to hear what you're saying, to be reminded that he was murdered, but also to hear you confirm what was reported in the media several months ago, that your office had been blocked from investigating his murder. That does not make.
Now, what do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about what he was told, that he cannot continue investigating the assassination of Charlie Kirk? Now, I have some more sources. We're going to read some more sources. Here we go. So it says former National Counterterrorism Center Director Joe Kent said his office was blocked from continuing an investigation into the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, claiming federal agencies ordered him to halt the work despite unresolved questions about the assassination. Wait a minute. First off, there were unresolved questions. Charlie Kirk, one of the biggest conservatives, we see what happened to him. You know what? We know that you are seeking and investigating, but we just want you to stop right here. Just stop right here for right now. That doesn't sound fishy to you? It says we were then told, hey, you guys need to stop. You can't work on this anymore. Kent said this during an interview with Tucker Carlson on Wednesday, which we just watched. Kent, a former Green Beret who served 11 combat deployments, said investigators were also told to defer to state authorities in Utah. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, he said, wanted to turn over the investigation to Utah state authorities and characterize the case as a slam dunk case. You know what, FBI? Let's take it out of FBI hands and let's turn it over to Utah. Because Utah state authorities has more power than the FBI. Okay. There was more work for us to do on the potential of a foreign nexus, and we were blocked from doing that. Kent said he described how access to information and interagency cooperation was restricted, with requests for data sharing continue to die on the vine. Why it matters? This is why it matters, so they say. Kent made the allegations during an appearance on Tucker Carlson's show on Wednesday, one day after he resigned from his position, citing opposition to the Trump administration war with Iran. In his resignation letter, the ex-counterterrorism chief wrote that Iran posed no imminent threat to the United States and accused the administration of being influenced by Israel to launch the military campaign. That is a lot to swallow at one time. Listen, what are your thoughts about this? What are your thoughts? I'm just giving you my raw thoughts. Like, this just seems like something is not right, something is not correct, and there's something being hidden, and we need to pray that God exposes all of this wickedness. If there's wickedness happening in the government, if there's wickedness happening in Israel, if there's wickedness happening in Iran, wherever there's wickedness is, we need to be praying as a church that God needs to expose this so we can see. The veil needs to be removed from our eyes. There is blood that was shed, and God will avenge innocent blood that was shed.